If your business is feeling harder than it used to, more effort with less return, then it's probably a sign that your strategy is outdated. Let's talk about the signs that show it's time to switch things up. The first warning sign is that you're working more, but you're earning the same or less. If you started your business a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, your business is really in its early growth stage. You are way too new to have already reached a plateau. So what is it that's causing you to find yourself in this trap where you're working more, but you're earning the same or less? So the first is, have your prices stayed the same even if your efforts have increased? And this is something that I talk about a lot because as business owners, it feels like we blink and time passes. But the reality is, how is it possible that you're charging the same price today as you were 3 years ago? Think about all the inflation that has occurred in that time. Just think about the price of eggs alone going up. There should be no reason that you're charging the same price today as 3 years ago, not only because the general cost of goods and services has gone up, but also just because your value has gone up. If you've been running your business for 3 years, if you've been running your business for 2 years, if you've been running your business for 365 days, you are not providing the same value today as you did when you first started. Think about all the new skills that you've acquired, all the creative problems that you've solved, all the clients that you have taken on, and all the work that you have done. And here's the thing, it can be really hard to kind of walk that tight line and understand our value as people who are service-based business owners in particular. But one thing that I can guarantee you is that your value is not the same as when you started. Therefore, your price should not be the same. Another reason why you might be working more but earning the same amount is because you've reached your capacity. I have talked about this in several videos that I'll link up above and down below in the description box, but capacity is a really important concept for entrepreneurs to understand, especially if you are a solopreneur or somebody who works in a small team or just has a VA or a couple of contractors that support you. So the idea of our capacity is, think of yourself like a full cup. So you're starting your day off as a full cup, and throughout the day, as you use resources like energy, like time, like money, it removes a little bit of water from the cup. You only have so much to give. You only have so much water. Now, here's where this comes into play. We want to start finding ways to maximize our capacity, meaning we don't want our only way to do more by adding more full cups to the mix, by adding more employees to the mix. The first thing that we want to do is we want to focus on being more efficient. So this means using less energy, time, resources, or water in order to get things done. If you're curious about how to do this, again, I have a bunch of videos which I will link up above and down below in the description box. Now, here's where capacity plays into this warning sign of working more but earning the same or less. A lot of the times, as small business owners, how much we can make is often tied to our capacity. Especially if you're the only person in your business, you know that you do everything, and you making money depends on you showing up and doing the work. So you need to find creative ways in your business where your profitability, how much money you're making, how much money you're taking home, isn't just tied to you working harder. I can guarantee you there are a million opportunities in your business to fix this. However, you just have to know what to look for. But ultimately, this is one of the first signs that it's time to switch things up in your business. The second warning sign is that you're getting clients that drain you. Here's the thing, when you first start your business, you're excited for every client that you get. It's exciting to make money, and it's exciting to make more money. But if you're finding yourself in a position where you are dreading calls or dreading deliverables that your entire business is based off of, that is not where you should be. And it is definitely a warning sign that it's time to switch things up. The great news is that who you serve and how you serve them does not need to be the same today as it was in day one of your business. And this is why it's really important to do the CEO strategic work in your business and not just focus on the day-to-day executing and getting all of the things done. Because you need the time to actually reflect and think about not just how much money you're making. Yes, that is a key important part. I will never take that metric away. But I always say when you are a solopreneur, you are your business. And ultimately, you will impact your business if you find yourself dreading showing up and working with clients. You might be putting your best foot forward in order to give them an amazing result, but ultimately they can feel it at the end of the day. So doing the strategic work also includes reflecting on elements that might not be as metric driven, might not be as tangible. You need to actually think about what you enjoy doing, who you've enjoyed serving, because that can impact your strategic direction and your offering moving forward. The third warning sign is that you don't know what to prioritize anymore. Okay, if you do not know what you should be doing this week, a month from now, 60 days from now, it is an indication that you have lost alignment with your overall strategy. You are likely in a position where you are being very reactive, everything feels urgent, but nothing is necessarily feeling effective in moving the dial towards making more money or getting more of your time back. And again, this is a red flag that you probably are at a point where you are doing, but the things that you're doing aren't necessarily the right things at the right time. And that's what good operations is. That's literally what operational excellence is. It's doing the right things at the right time. And honestly, you likely find yourself in this position just because you have decision fatigue. You are working too many hours, there's way too many things going on, so you are just making decisions because you have to, and you're not necessarily making them with the best lens in mind. If you do not know what to prioritize in your business, I have a completely free resource that you can use in order to identify this down below in the description box. That resource will help walk you through what it is that you should be focusing on and what it is that everybody else should be focusing on. Or if you're the only person in your business, what it is that you should look to have tools support you with. Because again, we should not be operating the same way today as we were when we first started. So meaning the work that you should be prioritizing and doing today should not be the same work as when you first started. And if it is the same, again, that's a very clear reason why you're finding yourself working more, but not necessarily getting more out of it. Okay, so the warning signs apply to us. We know we need to switch up our strategy, but how do we do that? Especially if you may not have had a real strategy in the first place. I'm gonna give you some practical next steps that you can take. So the first thing is to do a business audit. This doesn't have to be a big, scary initiative. And if you have no idea how to do a business audit, I have a free email guide that walks you over steps you can take over the course of 3 days. And once you are finished those 3 days, you will have a really good sense on the gaps in your business and what you're doing right. Because here's the thing, oftentimes we only focus on the gaps in our business, but it's really important to know what we're doing right as well. The reason being is because when we know what we're doing right, we should be doing more of that. We should be doubling down on it. And that's where we should be spending our efforts, as opposed to the things that are taking up a lot of our time, but not adding value in terms of moving the dial. So make sure you schedule a CEO time block into your calendar. This is 60 or 90 minutes that you can do in order to get done a business audit, or you can do something called a business retrospective. I did an entire podcast episode about what a business retrospective is on the Effortless Online Systems podcast, which is hosted by Nivek. So you can check that out down below in the description box if you want more details, or you can just Google it to find a starting point for yourself. So business audit and or business retrospective is first. This is going to help you understand where you're putting your time, why you're putting in so much time, what actually leads to the outcomes that you want, which in this case is likely more money and less time spent in your business. And we're really just focused on a strategic reset here. I'm not saying to take your strategy, rip it up, and throw it out of the window. Hopefully that's not what you have to do. So after you have all of the information from those actions, then what you want to do is see what in your strategy currently aligns with it and what doesn't. For example, part of your strategy or strategic direction might have had to do with your marketing efforts. So maybe the direction you had in order to achieve your goals was to increase your social media efforts. But once you have the data in order to make decisions, it will help you better understand if that's the right strategic direction. So maybe you're able to assess, hey, actually, most of my clients come through referrals, come through word of mouth. So all of that effort on marketing is really just taking up a lot of time and not contributing to the revenue we're trying to generate. Which, by the way, guys, that's a real example from a client that I worked with where we did a time audit with her. And literally just after 1 hour, we were able to help her reset some of her strategic components. So once we conduct our strategic reset, then it's time to execute. Now, here's the thing. I've broken down before how a strategy doesn't tell you how to execute. It doesn't tell you how to plan. You need to do that activity separately. That is why it is the third step. You need to create a 90-day action plan, a roadmap for the actions that you're going to be taking that help you move things forward when it comes to pivoting towards a strategy that's going to help you achieve growth. So you need both elements. You need the strategic reset, but you also need the plan in hand that tells you what you're supposed to be doing every day. And if you need some custom one-on-one support when it comes to these elements, then you can book a call with me down below in the description box. Thanks for watching, guys. If this video was useful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe down below. I'll see you in the next one.